Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to cut a straight corset. Drafting a straight corset is actually very easy. All you need to take note of these important things. One is to snatch your waist. Two is to distribute your darts correctly. And the third thing is to also tighten your neckline. So if this is something you're interested in learning, then let's get on with it. So I'm going to be doing total tightening here, and that just means ruling from point D or my bust point to the shoulder point, and also from point on one side, and also ruling from point D, taking a line from point D to the neck point on the other side. My waist is 69 cm, that's about 27 inches. So in order for me to snatch it, I'm going to remove about 5 cm from my waist. I'm reducing my waist by 5 cm, and this, what I get, is what I am now going to work with. You can also work in inches if you are more comfortable that way. You just have to do the conversion. So the waist measurement I will be working with now is 64 cm, and that is what I'm going to use to calculate my reduction around my waist. So the next thing to do now is to measure the measurement I have on my front bodies and back bodies at the waistline. Then I'll sum this up and now divide my new waistline, my new waist measurement that I'll be working with by 2, and subtract what I get from the addition of my waistline, from the addition of what I have on my front and back bodies. I hope you understand that. I'm going to put that on the screen so that you get the gist. So after doing all of my calculations, I had 18.2 cm to work with. This is what I'm going to be sharing on the waist of my bodies. I also wanted to take note that when you're sharing your darts, you're going to take more in front than at the back, because that's where you need the most contouring because of your bust and your underbust and waist, and all those curves that we have in front. So to do now is to figure out the number of panel lines you want. But before I do that, I'm going to remove 2 cm from my back side and the front side, and this is because I just want to shape the pattern before I start to distribute it. That now that I have removed 2 cm from the front and the back, that means I have reduced my dart by 4 cm, and so I'm going to retake 4 cm from the 18.2 that I have calculated earlier. So I'll be left with 14.2 to share across all of the dart lines. So it's up to you the number of panel lines or style lines that you work with. That's totally up to you, but for me, I want to work with 3. So what I'm going to do, what I do next, or what you should do, is to measure from the 2 cm that you are taking earlier. You measure from there to your center front and divide by 3. So that is what you need to know at what point to mark or to place each dart line. So that way, after measuring that, after dividing, I arrived at about 6 point something or so, and that is what I am going to now mark at 3 different points along my waistline in front, and now rule a straight line up from to create my dart lines. You can make the lines as long as you want, because it should reach your underbust and then your bust and probably your chest or longer. It's actually fine. There's no rule because you'll be working on those points too. I'm going to put how I shared my dart. The way I shared my dart is going to be displayed on the screen, so you see that. So and I have 8.2 to work with in front and 6 cm to work with at the back. So on the dart lines I have marked 4.2 for the side part of my for the part of my bodies that is closest to the center front, and then 4.0 for the other one. So what I'm going to now do is to share my darts on the sides of the style lines I already created or I already marked. After marking your darts, the next thing to do is to mark your under bust length, because you're going to be reducing, you're going to be making some reduction doing some reduction at the under bust point too. So first you mark your under bust length from your shoulder and rule across. You're going to be sharing your darts along the panel lines of the under bust. So after you ruled across, you measure that line that you ruled, and now note the figure, and also you now take your actual under bust measurement, divide that by 4, because you're going to be working just on the front, so that's a quarter of your under bust or your whole measurement. So after you've divided by 4, you now remove that figure from what you measured on your bodies at the under bust point. So the figure you arrive at is what you're going to share along or on your dart lines, or your panel lines, sorry. Also, when sharing my darts along around the under bust, what I usually do first is to now rule a line to shape the side. Okay, so for me, after doing all of my calculations, I decided to take 3.4 on the dart lines. Okay, so after sharing all of the darts, the next thing to do is to connect the points you marked at the under bust to the waist. You connect from your under bust shaping to the waist that you marked earlier. After that, go ahead to mark the desired neck depth that you want for your corset. I'm using 6 cm. You can go higher or lower, it depends on what you want. And yeah, also after marking the neck depth, you're going to rule across. And to do this, you can either close the dart, or like I am doing in the video. So I am using 10 cm for the height. So after I marked it with the dart closed, it was a bit shorter than 10 cm. So what you can do instead is to mark the 10 cm or whatever height you want for your corset on the dart legs. So next, blend from the marked point, that is the 10 cm point, through your darts, then to your neck depth, and also into your armhole with a curved ruler. So if you're going to be attaching a sleeve, then you can blend it into the armhole like I did, and if not, just cover up the entire armhole like we do for tubes or strapless bodies. So just cover the entire armhole up so that you have more coverage. So please, if you've been enjoying this video so far, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also turn on your notification bell. Okay, so the next thing to do now is to mark 4 cm down from your bust line and rule across. This is considered to be the fullest part of your boobs, and that is where your nipple rests. Okay, so what you should do next is to measure what you have between your shoulder darts, from the one leg of your shoulder dart to the other. And for me, I have 8.2. You have to, well, you're doing this because you have to distribute that figure along the style lines at your neckline too. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so what this does is that it tightens the corset around the neckline so that the corset is really firm at the neckline. So after I said earlier that I marked 8.2 and I distributed the dart. I distributed 4 cm and then on one line and 4.2 on the other. So what you now do after you've done this tightening is to connect from the neckline, your new neckline, to the nipple point, which is the 4 cm that you marked down, and then to the under bust. So making sure that your curve is fullest at the nipple point. Watch the placement of my ruler so that you get how to do this. Just make sure that the fullest part of the corset is resting on the nipple point. Okay, so with that done, you can now erase your initial markings and all the lines and redefine your new lines. Blend again where necessary. Okay, so the front part is done. Now let's work on the back. So for the back, you can lower it to your preference at the back. Lower the neckline to your preference at the back, but just make sure that the armhole is aligned with what is at the front. So but for me, I'm just taking 2 cm down. You can mark 2 inches in from the center back for if you're going to be using a rope to tie the corset at the back. Depending on how wide you want it to open at the back, you can measure like 2 inches. So that means it's going to open up to 4, and 2 inches is okay. That's what I am marking here. You can do more if you want, or yeah, you can do more if you want. So the next thing, after you've marked that, at the waist too, you mark 2 inches. If you're going to be attaching the corset to a dress, then at the waist you can mark half of what you marked at the top. So just like you did at the front, you divide the back waistline into the number of panels that you want. Here I'm working with I'm working with 3 2. So I measured from the 2 cm I had marked earlier to the point to what I marked for the closure, and divided the figure into 3 to get my panel lines, and I took the line straight up. So, and after that I referred to the waist reduction I already calculated for the back. And remember, I said I'm using 6. I'm tightening the back. I'm reducing the back waistline by 6.0. So that is what I now shared on the dart lines or the panel lines. And you can also tighten the back neckline a little bit. Okay, but you can just take like 0.5 on each line. So that means you'll be marking 0.25 inches on the sides of the dart leg, and then you connect to the waist reduction. So that's it for the back. It's quite straightforward. You know, you are not doing much of any contouring. You're not doing a lot of contouring and reducing. So that's it. The back is done. And if you want to create like a basque or something like that, you just go to the front of your pattern, extend it down from the waist by 6 inches. 6 inches is fine. So, and if you want it to reach your waist or go lower, then your hip, then you can do more, but 6 inches is fine. And at the side front, you measure 4 cm down. So, and then you can now extend your lines, your panel lines, however you want. If you want a V shape, then you create a V shape. If you here, I just made them straight. I want straight lines, so I just created a straight panel down there and I connected. So after extending the dart legs, just as I am showing, there are no rules here. Just do whatever you like. So then after extending all of your dart legs, you now connect this 4 cm to the 6 cm point, and that's all. You've created a basque. But at the back, you're going to be doing 4 cm on both sides, not because you're not extending to the hip at the back. So you do 4 cm at the side back, and also 4 cm at the other side, and just bring down your dart lines as you have done in front. So we have come to the end of this tutorial. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you learned 1 or 2 things. And please, again, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also turn on your notification bell and watch out for more videos coming up. I hope you're enjoying the holidays, and so I'll see you in the next video.